we saw a lot of menswear brands that did one of two things. They either portrayed guys in alone, often like the classic menswear photo, probably not for better for ill, is a guy standing by himself in some kind of downtown place with sunglasses on. He's carrying a briefcase, and it's alone.
Yeah.
And we contrasted that with, I was lucky enough to take a class with Arthur Brooks, and his happiness definition is faith, family, friends, and work.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those happen alone. And we saw there was, I think, except for us, I think a lack in the menswear space of portraying the man's life as being fundamentally communal with others. I mean, why wear clothes if there's no one else there?
Is that y'all's
That is the
tagline?
sentence I did not mean to come out. We're going to need to rewind this a little bit. Wow. There we go.
And when there
And it's
are
out.
other people there, wear really nice clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shepherds.
Yeah, shepherds. This is the radio ad that I wanted.
It's an involved tagline.
Yeah,
We're workshopping it.
Yeah, BeatiDudes. That feels good.
Oh, yeah. We're back.
I was thinking the same thing. That does feel good.
Man, when you hear that song, you're like, am I walking into a land full of Christian men seeking to grow in holiness as they walk with one another, not taking themselves too seriously, but taking the faith seriously? The answer is
Amen.
yeah. That's what that is with that guitar riff. Play me that one guitar riff. You know, the one that's
That
like,
one.
fraternity.
Nothing says Catholic like a guitar riff.
That's amen. Amen.
Oh, my goodness. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jeff Shufflebine. I'm here with Paul Michael Kolker.
Well, howdy doody,
Hey,
y'all.
buddy.
Hey.
And Nicholas Andy Besner.
That's my dad. That's true. You're not wrong.
Yes, this
You
is the
got
first
it.
time I've ever been not wrong at the
You-
beginning of a show.
You got it. Yeah. Andrew is my middle name.
Alrighty. Well, we're here and can't wait to dive right in. And I want to make a introduction to our guest. And then I think you just said something so astute. So we're joined by Chris Cottrell, not Cottrell.
That's right.
Yep, Cottrell, who drove in from not here. Where'd you drive in from?
So we drove yesterday from Kansas City, Missouri.
The BeatiDudes is hot. Y'all.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
BeatiDudes worldwide.
You get here by plane, boat, car.
However, whatever.
Yeah, just get here.
Hitchhike.
You know, when you hear that guitar riff and you're like, is there a Catholic podcast happening in that studio over there? True story. Last Friday, Paul and I were doing the radio show we do on Guadalupe Radio Network. That's an awesome apostolate. I love them. It's part of the reason that I grew in my faith so much was listening to Catholic radio. But the average age of that audience is much older. I feel that in my bones.
And so do they.
Yes. It is also on an AM radio station to just tell you like who might be even dialing around looking.
Yeah.
Well, the owner of that station happened to come through. And Paul, have you ever met her before that, Toya?
Oh, no, yeah, I hadn't.
Okay.
I mean, I'd heard the name whispered on the winds. But
Yeah, we're
I
rocking
hadn't.
3.5 years. And they're like, Toya's here along with so-and-so, Manny from the kind of division, whatever. He walks up and he's like pumping up in the window. And afterwards he's like, we need more of this on Catholic radio. Y'all are having fun. I was like, yeah, that's what this should be.
Right.
So
Is that
awesome.
unheard of in this world? Yeah,
we need to have fun.
Yeah.
Guitar riffs abound.
indeed.
I sound like an 80s rocker when I talk like that.
For sure. That was going to be, I was going to say that about you.
I can't even work it into a song.
I can't even follow it up seriously. I was trying to really lean into it, and I just lost it.
Motorin, guitar riffs abound.
There you go.
Are they even saying motoring?
Don't stop
Abounding.
I love it.
Chris, welcome to the show.
He's
I
like,
love the segue. That's
how
perfect.
quickly could I get to my car and start driving back to Missouri? Or no,
Chris.
Kansas City.
You are, I don't know, I think we've had maybe 4 or 5 people with an Army background sitting here, and you are not the biggest one, and none of them escaped. So,
So you're in it. You're here.
A double insult. You're the smallest Army guy, and they can't get out of small rooms.
But we also like to threaten our guests
Perfect.
at the start of the
Are you
episode.
feeling comfortable?
I need a blink, and you'll get me out of here.
Well, this won't air for another month or so. So you'll if only it were a live stream.
Okay, Chris. First of all, the way we ever first got connected was through our friend around the corner in the hallway here, Cara
That's right,
Moan. Did you
Cara
see
Moan.
her when you showed up here?
I did. Yeah, she's just on the hall, I think 2 doors from where we're doing the fittings.
That's right. She's probably listening to this because we yell out throughout the floor of this building, and people are like, "Oh, the BeatiDudes are going on." Guess we won't get any work done because they're awesome. They're making me laugh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Take us back to the genesis of the Chris story. I just brought up the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you come from, and how did you get to here? I mean, we're going to be talking about Shepherd's men's clothing pretty soon, but let's go through the arc of the very beginning of this. Career-wise, where'd you come from, Army and whatnot?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you all very much for having me on. It's an honor to be here and to spend time with you this afternoon.
Sure.
Glad we paid him to say that.
The cash comes down.
Shepherds are a new
That was
sponsor.
worth it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
No, but thank you. We appreciate that.
Thanks
No,
for joining us
absolutely.
here at the Lucid Private Offices in Las Colinas, Texas. You can get your own private office at Lucid's website.
Which we probably should have had handy for that. Just Google
Google's great.
Lucid.
Lucid,
Google's great.
sniffy. Now you can't edit it out.
Sniffy's okay. Sniffy
Sniff
needs
it
a
out.
jacket.
Sniff it out.
All right, Chris, take it away.
Here we are. Yeah, I heard a professor of mine say that you're born into someone else's story.
Mm.
I think that's true for all of us, both in the broad context of the Christian life. We're born into God's story of what's going on earth, but we're also born into our Father's stories. So I was born to 2 parents, as one does.
See, we're
I'm just
rubbing
gonna
it
get
all
all
out.
out right now.
Beatitude
I'm in the
from
right place.
Beatitude from the core.
So when 2 people love each other,
Oh, now we're gonna have to put a disclaimer on this episode.
No.
And they get a little sniffy.
yeah. Oh my goodness.
You know, like, no, like somebody's got beautiful perfume.
Jeff.
Love is in the air.
Yeah. I had written on my notes, bring up sniffy and work it into the conversation several times.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all born into someone's story. For me, that was my parents met a little bit later in life and had a reversion pretty early when I was maybe 1.5 years, 2 years old. So I spent my childhood in the evangelical 90s culture, focused on the family, adventures in Odyssey. We lived in Ohio for a bit, then Texas, and then landed for a couple reasons I think we'll probably talk about a little bit later in Arizona. Grew up there, had some great experiences. And along the way, I think really felt like there was a challenge to be had also elsewhere. I think it's a part of the young man's journey to go find himself a little bit and go on the hunt. So I ended up going to D.C. for a few years, joined the Army when I was there, did consulting in the Army simultaneously for a bit, deployed most of COVID, and then went to Boston for 2 years, and then landed in Kansas City, which was not on the map.
What does it
Not on
mean to
my
do
map.
consulting in the Army? Like you could have 2 jobs. You're like reserves,
Yeah,
or
yeah, that's
there's
exactly
some
right.
special. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the reserve lets you keep a full-time job, obviously. So I was consulting at Homeland Security and in the Army at the same time.
That's kind of
Yeah.
similar too.
Very similar.
Skill
Different problem
sets,
sets, but yeah,
Yeah.
same general thing.
And then, is there a specific part of the Army in which you were assigned, or a role you were playing? How does that work?
Yeah, so I was an intelligence officer. On deployment, I did counterintelligence with Special Operations Command. So we looked at anybody in the area. I was up in northern Iraq, trying to get intel on us, trying to potentially share sensitive intelligence to our enemies. The particular area I was in was one of the most contested intelligence spaces, and I'm sure if there are any intel listeners in your audience, they will fact check this, but it's a contested space. There's Chinese operatives, Russian operatives, a lot of Iranians. So you're in an area that your guys are at risk. So we were able to accomplish the mission and do some cool things along the way.
What's the biggest secret that you can divulge?
So the CIA in 1960.
Woo! Going back.
There we go.
How contested is the intellectual space at this tiny table?
Extremely. I'm the smallest guy in the room. And the Army guy.
Notice he didn't answer the intellectual.
Yeah, right.
Extremely.
He's like, it's,
Moving on.
it's wide open in here.
Yeah, no joke. So, okay, so the arc, then you go from D.C. to, you said Boston?
I was in Boston for
And
2
that was
years.
just corporate consulting work. What was that world?
I was in grad school in Boston, so I took the first year off and then worked at a political tech startup the second year while I was in grad school.
Did you go to a fancy college?
I did go to fancy college, but I hope that is not a negative about me. Because it might be, depending on how you read that. Yeah.
Can we ask the name of this fancy college?
Yeah, I went to Harvard in Boston
Whoa.
and was at Georgetown in D.C.
Wow.
Two
Nice.
fancy
Two
colleges.
fancy degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 of us went to A&M, and that almost equals a degree.
I think we talked about this on our first call, actually. I lived in College Station
That's
from
right.
96 to 99, and we moved right after the bonfire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was
a
a
big
very
deal.
formative thing in my childhood.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah.
That was a very, very big. So how old would you have been when bonfire fell?
10,
10.
11, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I was in college. This is great, guys.
I was also like 9 or 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in high school, but
Hey, bud.
hey, yeah.
Y'all don't know about my life.
Let's talk about dial-up modems for a sec, just to make Jeff feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you go from Boston to then everybody's trying to move to Kansas City. I know that that's like on every young man's like adventure list.
If they were, I would understand. It really is a beautiful town.
I agree with that. I can't imagine going from D.C. and Boston to St. Louis.
Yeah.
What
Or
how
Can-
Kansas City?
or Kansas City.
That's
what he
no, but
said.
that's
Ready for the
why.
connection.
I was like,
That's
what did I
why he
miss?
can't imagine going to St. Louis because it's Kansas City.
I'm like,
I'm under
what did
extreme
I
duress
miss?
here.
What did I miss?
Jeff, it's fine, Jeff. Yeah, you're.
I think
You're
I
allowed.
jumped all the way to the Kansas City
We're
Chiefs
good.
is what just happened to me in my brain.
All good.
Oh, no, St. Louis.
We're not.
So it was
Don't try
Cardinals,
to. Don't
Chiefs.
try. Don't. It's okay, Jeff. We're giving you a pass.
A lot of stress here. St. Louis, why?
Because it's close to Kansas City, which is where I ended up going.
Jeff is the only person who can try to dig himself out of a hole and end up miraculously in some other hole.
There are also
different
lucid
hole.
private offices in St. Louis. You got to connect the
Okay. All right. So Kansas City, Missouri, right? I said that right,
Or
correct?
Kansas City, Kansas. It's on the-
Well, yeah, it's on the
on
border.
It's on the border.
Yeah, yes, but off the map. Okay, but so you landed there, and what are you doing there now? What's the name of the game these days?
Yeah. So I moved out to Kansas City to help get a great brand off the ground. So we're called Shepherds. We do custom made-to-measure menswear.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. The reason we're in Kansas City is one of the co-founders is a great Catholic guy, Harrison Butker, who plays for the Chiefs. So it made sense for us to start the business in Kansas City. But we're launching a big online presence, hopefully that by the time this airs. And yeah.
How did that come to be where he was part, like, was it somebody went and approached him or he had this idea, like, I get that he's part of it, but
Mhm.
where's the genesis story of that one?
Yeah. We had, I think, all been interested vaguely in some way in menswear. And one of the co-founders, Nathan, has worked in menswear for several years, has been in some great roles. And we all cared about it in some way.
You were friends before all of this?
We were all friends
before the
this.
Chiefs?
Yeah. Not before the Chiefs. So I think Harris and I met 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
3 years ago, yeah. And there were 4 of us co-founders. We all had an interest in this, looked at buying a different business that was doing a similar thing. I came in and said, hey, I think we could actually just do this on our own and have more fun doing it that way.
Nice.
Which made me responsible then to
Yeah.
deliver
Whoops.
on, hey, we can
Yeah.
actually do this. Careful what you say, especially on the BeatiDudes.
A lot of commitments been made here.
A lot of commitments. Yeah, so we do great menswear, and I think a big part of the the founding origin was we saw a lot of menswear brands that did one of two things. They either portrayed guys in alone, often like the classic menswear photo, probably not for better for ill, is a guy standing by himself in some kind of downtown place with sunglasses on. He's carrying a briefcase, and it's alone.
Yeah.
And we contrasted that with, I was lucky enough to take a class with Arthur Brooks, and his happiness definition is faith, family, friends, and work.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those happen alone. And we saw there was, I think, except for us, I think a lack in the menswear space of portraying the man's life as being fundamentally communal with others. I mean, why wear clothes if there's no one else there?
Is that y'all's
That is the
tagline?
sentence I did not mean to come out. We're going to need to rewind this a little bit. Wow. There we go.
And when there
And it's
are
out.
other people there,
It can only
wear
get better.
really nice clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shepherds.
Yeah, shepherds. This is the radio ad that I wanted.
It's an involved tagline.
We're workshopping it.
Yeah. We're also hiring for marketing, so you should come in and help us out.
Well, and that's why we do the podcast in person, so that nobody talks to us.
He went to happiness class, not marketing.
That's right. We love Arthur Brooks, by the way. Can
Yeah, we
you
do.
book him for the show as well?
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Do my best.
Is
Talk
he
to us-
also from St. Louis?
That's a great question.
No, he spent 10 years in Spain, or I think in Spain, as a
Monk?
as a professional musician.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what
But I don't
instrument.
know where he came before. He was before that.
See, but that's kind of not fair because both of those sound like happiness makers, right? Like if I got to spend 10 years just doing music in Spain, I'd probably be pretty happy too.
Especially if it's with other people.
Well,
An
yeah.
audience and
Communal.
another band. And
Communal.
yeah.
Talk about a little bit, the other day my wife has made this conversion of heart where she feels very called to veil at Mass. So it was about a year-long process. She veils at Mass, and the last thing she wants is for somebody to notice. So I said, why don't I just say it on the BeatiDudes on the big show?
Announcement.
But there's something beautiful about it because there's a beauty, a reverence, and a classiness to even the process that she went through, the veil she picked, all that kind of stuff. When you think about men, and especially in the culture that we have today, can you talk a little bit about menswear and what's lacking, not just in the advertisements and in the brand, but also in like our approach? I don't even know your view on this, but our approach to, or the general man's approach to dress, like what it's been dumbed down and, kind of deflated so much. What is driving y'all to care about this?
Yeah. I think we're exiting an era of fast fashion and mass-produced garments. And I think for a lot of men, they see a price point that is based on fast fashion or based on unethical production. And it's hard to understand the difference between a poorly produced fast fashion garment compared to a heritage garment, something that they would potentially pass on to their sons. And there's more in it. There's more to it than just it's a garment. For us, there's this great TED Talk. I think it's the second most popular TED Talk. Amy Cuddy. She's a blonde lady. She has this power poses TED Talk. I'm sure you guys have seen parts of it. Her work has been around the concept of embodied cognition, meaning if you stand a certain way, you carry yourself a certain way. For us, I think it's if you dress a certain way, you stand a certain way, and then you carry yourself a certain way. And behind all that is kind of the same thing that you probably heard from your mom every day growing up is make your bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of getting dressed is part of a habit of preparation for the day, a habit of I'm taking this day seriously and taking myself seriously. And it's harder, I think, to do that in casual clothes. Now, for me at least, we have very little bit in individual preferences about what we wear on the team.
Sure.
Harrison's a suit guy, loves a suit and tie. I'm more of a button down and a blazer. It does. So what my point being, you don't have to necessarily just wear a suit, but you have to dress in a way that's intentional, it's coherent, it's authentic to who you are, and it's elevating both to yourself and to others around you.
I have experienced that firsthand, and personally, like when I would dress down early in my career, and I could feel a difference in my, it'd feel like a relaxed feel, but I would also have a relaxed intensity or tenacity of the way I was tackling a problem.
Tackling it, yeah.
Goodness.
That's what we do in the Army. It's
tackle it.
With 2 jobs.
Yeah, that's right.
Might as well use 2 words every time you speak knock. I don't know what that is. But the other thing that I watched is the more the business environment got casual, the more it was deflating to see how much people like owned their professionalism. And so in my last company, we had really some of the most incredible cultural norms about who we were. And then everybody thought it was crazy because I gave people unlimited time off and you're the master of your own schedule. And this is, fully formed adult, all these things. And I'd say, but no shorts. And they'd be like, why? And I was like, because it's the gateway clothing. It's the gateway clothing to flip-flops. It's the gateway clothing to, I don't want to see your legs.
Yeah.
It's all those things that I think really start to deteriorate the business part versus you put on your business pants and your business socks, perhaps a shirt, let's get to work.
Yeah. We all know how it feels when you put on a good blazer or you're in a suit that looks good and fits you well. Yeah.
No, 100%.
Amen to that.
Well, and I think there's something about if I look at Harrison as the number one icon of this men's clothing movement through Shepherds, and really, if you look at the NFL, some people dress like I don't know, electric chickens or something with some of the stuff they put on. It's pretty wild to watch. Yeah. Harrison looks classy. Used the word heritage, like a heritage piece of clothing. You look at him and you're like, there's something fundamentally different about him. Well, then if I take this to like evangelization or just owning our faith through our expression of how we march through our day and tackle problems, kick field goals, there's something that is different about him. And if you have any curiosity at all, you start to find this is a man of faith who's trying to live these values in everything that he does. So
it applies so well outside football. In the business world, you're kind of telling a story about what you understand by wearing the things that are appropriate in that sense. But I don't want to go to mass with a priest who's wearing a suit. Mm-hmm. He has a particular uniform. A soldier has a particular uniform. And that, again, doesn't necessarily mean a suit and pants. Soldiers throughout time have had different ones. Priests have had different garments. Mm-hmm. But it's really that there's something that's appropriate to who you are that you need to be wearing.
Well, and tying this back to the faith as well, you kind of mentioned it there with the uniform of a priest, but I remember learning in seminary, we had our catechism class, and I haven't told you this yet, but I was in seminary for a few years. Discerned otherwise, but
He's not a priest.
Yeah, I'm not a priest. My brother is, but yeah, I remember learning.
On that note, Kara was telling me that she often mistakes you at church. For your mistakes your brother for you.
Oh.
And says Father Paul to him frequently.
Oh, fun.
She's going to kill me for saying that.
That's awesome.
Well, we all get mistaken for each other. My other brother is a chiropractor, and somebody yesterday was like, you probably don't remember me. You gave me this adjustment a couple of years ago. And I was like, nah, that's my brother.
Yeah. The resemblance is uncanny.
We're all clones of each other.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
I can
look
only
like
imagine
brothers.
you're like hanging out with your wife and somebody's like, thanks for that massage. And you're like, was it me?
No.
Hold on.
That adjustment? No.
But anyway, back to what I was
bless you, sister.
That's what I was trying to say. So I remember our catechism class, the priest, the rector of the seminary at the time, he broke down sacraments in a beautiful way where he said, like with the water, the washing and baptism, right? It both does the thing and reveals the thing that it's doing, right? So when you're washing in baptism, you're washing of sin, but that symbolic action of the water or washing actually does accomplish the thing that it's symbolizing at the same time.
Right.
And so what I love about what you're saying is that when we dress up a certain way, we're signifying to ourselves and to other people that this is how I'm now carrying myself, or I'm trying to reveal this inner life of how I'm approaching the world or how I'm approaching myself, my attitude, all of that.
Yeah. The phrase I heard in college was the visible reveals the invisible.
There you go.
And I think what you're correctly getting at here is the rest of the sentence should be the visible reveals the invisible and forms the invisible.
Yeah.
Because it does.
Yeah, it helps for our sake, especially, that if I'm dressed a certain way, well, now suddenly my mentality starts to shift, and there's this positive feedback loop that goes on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So you and I have talked before, and you got your hands on a lot of stuff. You sound a lot like the three guys sitting around you in here. This isn't just Shepherd's. Shepherd's is an incredible men's custom fit clothing brand. Certainly, I think breaking new ground and doing it from a place that we all want to spend money, right? Supporting people that are virtuous leaders who are at least equally yoked in the faith, but even for people that aren't men of faith, it's better than a lot of the other companies you could support with your dollars. So,
and that's an important note, that we're not just, you shouldn't buy from us because we're owned by Catholics.
correct.
It's because we do a really good job. And that's an important part of, the scripture, do everything as if you're doing it for the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's the level of seriousness that I think we want to approach all work with, but, especially
your faith
this stuff.
informs why you do it the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's not why
that's
somebody
right.
should buy it. It's
That's
the
right.
outcome of doing
That's
it that way.
Yeah, so it's Lord and Taylor.
My goodness.
That's for our older audience members.
Oh, man.
Little throwback there.
Yeah.
Very cool. So then tell me from a business standpoint, what else you have your hands on, because you are not somebody who sits easy or idle as you're just running some new clothing brand. What else do you got going?
Wait. Before we
Oh.
transition real quick,
Yeah.
can I just ask, do you ever dress wolves in your clothing? I would hate for there to be wolves in Shepherd's clothing. That's
So we're still hiring for marketing people.
yes. Well played.
The position has not been filled.
Yeah. Interview's not going well.
You are welcome back at this table
We're
anytime.
taking 3 shots and we're striking out.
Keep trying.
Yeah, so Shepherd's is really an incredible business. I think, as you all have experienced here, there's a lot to do. Right, the harvest is rich, but the workers are few. So I'm from Arizona, and I think one of the important things for me has always been to go back and to buy a business in Arizona, especially one that's closer to doing something real. I had MBA classmates who would, went into investing in exotic financial instruments, and I just thought, I don't know how you enjoy that much during the day. I'm not as smart, probably not as smart, but I want something that feels a little bit more real.
Mm-hmm.
And so a business partner and I are starting a search fund to go buy a business in Arizona. The math behind it is, I think there's about $72 trillion of business infrastructure in the United States that's about to change hands from the boomer generation to a younger generation. And there's almost no business with a great succession plan at that smaller scale. So yeah, we're going to go try to buy and
For
run
people
some
that are
businesses.
hearing search fund for the first time, can you explain what the search fund is? And I know, just go for it.
Yeah. There's a couple different models. The one we're pursuing is we're funding it ourselves in terms of the operating costs while we search. But you spend up to 2 years, a pretty typical timeline, to find and buy a great local business that you are both competent enough to manage, but also has positive upside. And Arizona has so many tailwinds to it. It's a great state. I obviously personally love it, but a lot of investment going in there.
Since the last time you and I spoke, I got to tell you something crazy. We have one of our employees is up in Denver, CFO background, very interested in this model, and we all see it, right? The silver tsunami, or whatever you want to call it, the Lord and Taylor exit of business ownership.
Yep.
And so we're kind of in that same boat of, if we find the right deal, we'll make a move. And we have a construction company under duly signed LOI right now in due diligence. And it's exactly what you described. Incredible business. We found a way to bless the man who started it by giving him an incredible job and ongoing ownership without having to have the lift of carrying it going forward. And it's one of those that if somebody like us didn't come along, somebody else would either come scrap it up and kind of ruin the whole brand for asset value of what they could sell off, or it would just die off and everybody in that small town that depends on it would kind of fall with it. So
Yeah. So real quick, just want to emphasize what I'm hearing from both of y'all, which is awesome. A lot of people think, oh, well, if I'm going to serve the Lord, then I have to go be a missionary somewhere, or the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's like, well, okay, the love of money maybe, right? Like greed, avarice, all of that. That's wrong.
Yeah.
But what I love that y'all are saying is that, no, this is stuff that actually serves people. So if I understand how business works, if I understand how a good work ethic and a quality product and,
Right.
generating something of value for other people, that's where true profit comes in. I mean, you even talked about heritage versus unethically sourced things, right, that are taking advantage of people. Now your business steps in and says, okay, we're going to make something of quality that also does it the right way.
Yeah. There's a great a line from a letter that C.S. Lewis wrote. I think this was in 1955 to a Mrs. Johnson. And I don't know the context of her letter, but his response to her included this great line. He says, all industry exists for the home. It's the point of everything else. Roofing companies, plumbers, food service, clothing. It exists so that society can continue, so we can have families. So we are not the most noble profession, but it is noble to serve the most noble profession.
I also think if you have business as one of business strategy, you can see things. You're a great marketer like yourself, Chris. If that's your skills that God gave you,
You'll change my resume a little bit.
You're not deploying those skills for good, then you're squandering the talents. Like we shouldn't be afraid to grow great businesses that have a heritage, that's my word for legacy now, impact on the people around. Yeah. And so I think that's a big part of this.
Yeah. Unless you're selling bushel baskets.
Yeah, then we should.
Well, no, then you're in a good spot because people can hide their gifts.
Thanks for illuminating that one.
I didn't hide that one.
Chris, the name of can we share the name of the group that you're doing this under, the search fund?
Yeah, we're called Verde Peak.
What is that?
Verde is a name of several places in Arizona, Verde Valley, Verde River. So it's kind of a subtle nod to our roots there.
Verde Salsa.
Yeah. Also that big chips and Verde Salsa company.
And then Peak is always higher.
Always higher, yeah. Pursue excellence in whatever you're doing.
We want you to pursue excellence with us in a little bit of a game.
All right, let's do it.
The game is Blessed are the joke makers, for they shall inherit the 55 points. Nod to C.S. Lewis.
Love it. And the way this is going to work is we've got a character card and a Catholic card game card, and we have to answer whatever the prompt is on the Catholic card game card as this character.
Okay.
So you're going to see 3 different or maybe similar iterations of that character, but we're all going to be trying to come up with our own answer to the prompt.
Okay.
All right, so the character is, this should be easy for Jeff, as a new parent.
Ding, 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 ding. That's me at the lottery machine.
777.
Nice.
Okay, so as the new parent, seminarians talk about blank after class. Seminarians often talk about discernment. Specifically, I hear them talking about discernment in relation to 80s songs. Like they're always singing, "Should I stay or should I go now? If I go there." Okay, I'm out. That's it.
After class, I always hear the seminarians in the hall, and they're trying to get on kind of a sleep, eat, awake time schedule. And a lot of them are finding ways to get more tummy time to just build up those neck muscles.
Yeah, after class, I've just been hearing a lot of seminarians talking about the sacraments and really especially baptism and thinking, if I put the oil on first, the water and oil, is that going to mix? How's that going to work with the baptism? You got to make sure it's the Father, then the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. Got to make sure you're getting the baptism done right. Man, they're really concerned about pouring water on our new baby.
Chris, you can award 55 points, or if you want to just take them from us, you can just do it yourself. You could participate, but most people just award points.
Yeah, I think I'll participate and award points.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is a new one.
This is a new one. I thought the way you explained it, I wasn't listening to any of you. I was thinking the whole time about what my answer was going to be.
Oh, no. You're supposed to judge, but early in the BeatiDudes history, we had participants.
This
happens.
This is a throwback. I'm reading the original rule book.
Well, let me tell you something. There might be something special in this for you, so keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. As a new parent after seminary, I hear them talking about baptizing just the baby's head. I want that whole baby dunked.
Right on.
Nice.
I'm going to give you a big clap for that one. Well, it's a small clap.
Really more of a West Texas rainstorm.
Oh, that's refreshing. Smells weird. Hey, where do you give 55 points? And feel free to give them to yourself. This is a show that rewards
not me.
cockiness.
Those ones are going to Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Paul, I don't know how you pull these off, but that one was,
Thank you.
I feel robbed completely. Fist bump
I
for
thought
Paul.
you. I thought you.
Well done.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
okay. He didn't listen to me is what he
Yeah,
he just remembers that you spoke. He saw you speak.
He's like, oh, Paul's going. That's good.
His mouse was moved. His mouse moved when he was
His
talking.
mouse.
How you holding up there, Jeff?
Guys, I'm under
We'll give
crazy
a
duress.
consolation prize to the non-2 winners.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Here we go.
See, I thought about this.
This is
Ah,
hey.
there you
These
go.
are some custom hats.
Nice.
Tell us what it
Shepherd's-
says on here.
It says closed on Sundays.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Chick-fil-A and Shepherd's.
Chick-fil-A and Shepherd's, yeah.
Love it.
Chick-fil-A.
Both are
There we
good for
go.
your soul and make you look
Beautiful.
good. Because, well, I don't know how Chick-fil-A makes you look good. But hey, for being our celebrity guest, Judd, we're going to make you look good. And these are going to go perfectly with your Shepherds. This is your first pair from us, at least, of Sock Religious socks from sockreligious.com. I hadn't seen these before. We got a new shipment in from Scott
Nice.
Williams.
Whoa, very
These
nice.
are the 4 evangelists, and it has each of the
Oh,
symbols
yeah.
for the 4 evangelists.
Yeah.
So this is that kind of sneaky evangelization sock that you can wear, and people won't know that you are like playing out the evangelist. But if they ask you a question, you can go jumping straight in.
All the way
So,
in. Surprise them.
Yeah, and if anybody out there wants their own
Thank you.
socks, and they want to support the BeatiDudes with somewhere around $120 per pop, go over and get your own socks at sockreligious.com/BeatiDudes, or put in a code that's called BeatiDudes. We're not sure.
Or Google it if you don't know the website.
All work.
Sniff it up. We'll see you after the break.
Don't stop believing, no matter what you're feeling. Subscribe to the BeatiDudes.
The team at Aquinas Wealth Advisors believes that good values and good returns are not mutually exclusive. Using a tech-smart and morally sound approach, they provide investment alternatives that align with Catholic teachings without sacrificing returns. These days, faith-driven investors are finding it hard to know where their money is going. They have no visibility into what their dollars are supporting, but there's a better way. Thanks to the Faith and Finance Score from Aquinas Wealth Advisors, you can look into your current holdings to see what you're supporting and make a switch to an advisor that aligns with your values and gives power to your voice. Check out AquinasWealth.com today.
Hey BeatiDudes, it's Jeff here. When Nick and I set out and we started this company, Undivided Life, we decided to not use traditional healthcare, but we went with Solidarity HealthShare because we thought it was an affordable and ethical alternative that matched the needs of our business and our growing families. Since then, my family put Solidarity to the test. We've had pregnancies, babies, emergency room visits, even a brain surgery for one of my children, and Solidarity has been an incredible partner and has also had the cost and the ethical approach that we love. Here's a link for you to go check it out. learnmore.solidarityhealthshare.org/BeatiDudes. This is your chance to be in solidarity with the Shufflebine family.
Hi, it's Paul Kolker from the BeatiDudes here, and I just wanted to share with you guys that I also, outside of the show, perform improv comedy on a regular basis with a group called Divine Comedy. So what we do is we come up with everything on the spot, so whether you're looking for faith-filled, fun, family-friendly comedy for your youth night, or whether you're looking for clean comedy for your corporate event, Divine Comedy can perform for your group and even get you in on the action. So if you'd like to hire us to come out and perform for your next event, check out DivineComedyImprov.com. Divine Comedy, an inferno of fun.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here with Chris Cottrell from Shepherds and Verde Peak Search Fund. Chris, you've been in Kansas City, but you're also doing this thing in Arizona. Are you planning to move? Where are you at right now geographically?
Yeah. Not St. Louis.
Yeah.
We've narrowed it down.
Narrowed it down. Not there.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm in Kansas City right now. Very focused on what we're building at Shepherds.
Got it.
And we'll end up in Arizona by the end of summer.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And so day to day, you're kind of in this like got a good thing going with Shepherds, and you can see like the building of the foundation is kind of there. and we're ready to go ahead and get to Arizona and do that next thing.
Yeah. Shepherd's needs more focus from me right now as we're getting off the ground for
Sure.
the first time. But
Got it.
To somebody who maybe hears this entrepreneurial spirit and is unsure where to start, like let's say, because we do have some younger men, right? Like they're maybe college age, just out of college, right? Mid-20s, that kind of thing. What would be your advice in terms of, hey, how do you just go for it? How do you get started in something like this?
yeah, any advice is so person dependent.
Sure.
That I'm hesitant to say here's categorically what to do. But I think the things that have worked well for me are to find great leaders and really pursue that. Find people you can really take a lot of practices from. The first thing you do, we do this as children, you just copy. So if you're copying from someone who's really good, that is an immediate leg up in your career. From there, I would say, this is straight out of Jim Collins' book, Good to Great.
Yeah.
Get the right people on the right seats on the bus, and you'll win.
Mm-hmm.
I think investors too look at that and invest in the team much more than the idea. The team will pivot several times, and the right team will put it together. So more than go do a specific thing, I would say find a great leader and then find the right team.
Well, so part of that, real quick, I've heard you reference several books. So
Mhm.
it sounds like part of that leadership can be in the authors that you select,
Yeah,
and maybe spend more time reading than doom scrolling.
yeah. When I was right out of college, this was when Twitter was, I think, still just getting off the ground. I went on Twitter and looked at people who I thought were impressive and went through their bios. This just shows how embarrassingly nerdy I can be. I had an Excel sheet of here's what's in these guys' bios. Here's kind of the common picture between people who I thought were having a big impact. And then I sought to go emulate some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You and Nick just became best friends.
Reverse engineer it. I love it. Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, y'all are
In
about
a
the same
spreadsheet.
age.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you might be separated from something. Hey, here's a random question for you, Chris. I got a fitting today for a sports coat. It's going to be green because that's how I roll. And I was talking to Nathan. I said, tell me something you love about working with Chris. This is like that, I don't know what game it is, but what do you think he said that he loves about working
man.
with you? This is
Isn't
such
this
a...
like the newlywed
Yeah.
game or
Yeah,
something?
Yeah.
What did one of your business partners say he loves about working with you? Chris.
Man,
This is not a fair question to ask on a live recorded
No.
podcast.
no,
but
it's
go for
it's
it.
such a it's such a good question. It's I think he probably appreciates that I can I try to hold tension between conflicting outcomes or conflicting ideas. We could do this, and I see the merits of that. We could do this, and I see the merits of that, and not being stuck into we have to do this one particular thing. He may have said the total opposite, but I hope he said something like that.
I actually think what's neat about this question is you just dropped like a business nugget of wisdom on everybody, regardless of what he said. I never even asked him. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Hold on. Liar.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I really did ask him. That was a total setup. But I did ask him, and he's your business partner, right? So what Nathan said is he loves and he goes, this is going to sound negative, I mean it positive, your extreme disciplined approach to things. He said that the way that you're able to keep everything in order and marching forward, and because he does all the measurements, he uses the word a measured approach. It's like his pun that he can't get out of. So he kept talking about your measured approach and our measured pace. And he said it's such a blessing to have Nathan as a creative have somebody with such a measured approach. And it was like this place of watching somebody speak about you that you could tell he was lighting up, getting a chance to talk about you. Then you came in, got real awkward. We started acting like we were talking about the traffic and how many clouds are there
In the world?
out the window.
That's a great consulting interview question, right?
Yeah,
How
there
many
it is.
clouds
Yeah.
are there in the world?
Right now.
How many ping pong balls can you fit on a Boeing?
That's right.
Maybe not a Boeing. Depends on the door.
Too soon.
Yeah.
So there we go. We have a question every time that all four of us are going to answer. It's the TBD, the BeatiDudes question of the day. And this one I haven't given any prep on. Is just what's a way that you have or have seen others evangelize without it being pushy? So in other words, let me say it differently. Like, how do you bring up or get into a conversation that maybe has a faith component or a connection that you've seen somebody do and it's impressive, or you've done it yourself this one hit me, and I want to just share. Y'all just start so you can think about yours. Last night I'm out to dinner with our friend Chris Faddis, who's been on the show before from Solidarity Health Share, and my wife. And it was kind of a surprise that my wife was able to join us. We had a really, really tough day yesterday. And this waiter is at the end of having served us a good meal, and we've been there for quite a while. And he says, any desserts, tiramisu? He's going through this whole thing. And my wife says, actually, I do have something I would like. And he says, yeah, what's that? And he goes, or is there anything else I can do? And she goes, yeah, there's one thing. And she goes, would you please pray for my son? And you saw his whole demeanor like kind of shift. And this kid looked at her and he goes, yeah, what's up? And my son has brain cancer. And so she said, my 3-year-old son has brain cancer. And he goes, he swallows really hard and he goes, what's his name? And he starts writing down on his pad of paper. And he goes, both of my parents are battling cancer right now. My mom is what they call a prayer warrior. And I would be honored to pray for your son. And so then I'm crying, Chris is crying, Amanda's crying, this guy's tearing up. And then we ask his parents' name. We say, we're going to pray for them. And as he walks off, I look at my wife and I'm like, where did that come? Like, where did this come from? It was so beautiful and so powerful. And she goes, Holy Spirit. And she's like, I didn't plan on saying it, but right when he asked, is there anything else I could do? It's what came out of my mouth because it was the Holy Spirit. And I was like, you just blessed that kid and you blessed me and Chris. And if it led to another prayer for our son, you blessed our son. So I was thinking about like how many times we hold back from these moments where it could be socks. Nobody can say that because I already gave you that answer. But for y'all,
Yeah.
what is a way that you are able to, or you've seen other people?
The thing that I try to remember and remind myself is what we talked with Jordan Rayner about, right? He's kind of he takes an approach to it, right? When he keeps a note on his phone for when I go to the hairdresser, or like pick up these things, like how do I? And he has a go back
System.
and listen. Yeah, he's got like a 3-step process, and this again, I'm not very good at it, but it's on my mind from time to time.
Yeah.
To say like his example was, oh, Christmas is coming up. Like, oh, what do you do for Christmas? Cool. Oh, do you go to church for Christmas? Oh, you used to. Oh, why did you used to? Right. And it's like kind of peeling back and coming from just using the topics of what's going on in life, right? Easter comes around, right? We're in the springtime now. So summer, what's going to happen over summer? Is there any other like holidays or things that people normally, how was your weekend? Good. How's your next weekend looking? Pretty good.
How many clouds are there?
Right.
Pretty standard small talk.
Yeah. And just to take that small talk and throw it in the trash can where it belongs and just be a little bit more intentional.
That's
Yeah.
right. It's cool.
Wait, can you repeat the question? I got lost in these beautiful stories.
Yeah, I think it's more like what is something you or somebody you've seen that you've done or approached so that you can get into conversations or evangelizing faith in ways that are approachable or not off-putting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So actually this kind of was inspired or re-inspired, I should maybe say, by Andrew Alob.
Yeah.
Laubacher, right? Am I
Yep.
saying his last
Yeah,
name right?
I called him Alab.
Alob,
Oh, yeah,
aka
you call-
aka Alob.
Alob. Well, he just reminded me of a whole kind of chunk of my past where I was more in tune with, or trying intentionally to be in tune with the movements of the Holy Spirit, and have been trying more recently, like since we recorded that episode, and it was just a simple thing that I remember either learning or I don't know how it came to me, but at some point back, kind of seminary, college, that time period, it was just if it seemed like I was really being prompted to, just saying to the person, hey, I don't really know how to say this. Like if it was a stranger or something, I'd be like, hey, I just felt moved to ask, like, do you need prayer for
Yeah.
anything? Like I know this is going to sound weird, but I just felt moved to ask. And I actually did this not too long ago after the recording with Alob. And the people behind the counter at the gas station, because it was just this weird moment. I was like, oh, I feel like maybe I'm supposed to. And I almost ignored it. And I was like, no, I'm going to regret this if I do. And so I just asked him, and he was like, actually, yeah, I've had a really, really hard day today. And everything was going wrong, and I had to YouTube stuff about how to fix these problems and all that. And he's like, so thank you for asking.
Man, and think about this. The worst case scenario for you then is you are just right where you were anyways. Like you risk nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I might look a little weird to some people that I've never met before and might never see again.
It's like asking a girl out. She says no. Well,
We weren't dating
We already
anyways.
weren't dating. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I ask for money. I don't have any. Maybe you'll give me some.
No, but
No?
it's just.
Oh,
but it's
cool.
all.
I still have none.
It's all upside though, really. Like I mean,
sure.
Yeah,
And
it feels like it's a worse downside than it actually is.
The spirit-led part, that's beautiful. You know, I ended up buying a book called Healing, and Andrew Laubacher is on the very first page by Mary
What?
Healy.
Huh.
Because
Cool.
somebody said, you got to go read this book because you'll start to realize how much Andrew has been involved in healing prayer in his life.
Wow.
So powerful. Chris, you're the last of the TBD question for this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Paul, you were really right about it. You just have to go for it when you feel it, and the more you deny that impulse of the Holy Spirit, the harder it'll be to do it the next time. And the other thing I was thinking is all of your answers, you were all giving your answers. I thought of, in the New Testament when Christ sees someone and has a chance to, and they don't know who he has a chance to bring up himself or the gospel. He seems to see the person clearly without condemnation, and that requires a real insight into human nature, that he could ask the woman at the well these questions. And of course, he has he's Christ, so he has different insights than we do. But being able to unattach yourself,
Detach.
Thank you.
Nobody here's ever gotten a word right, so don't
Man,
start now.
man, floundering there.
You did-
Unattach yourself from the constant distraction, and trying to be more present, and just recognizing that the emotional connection in someone that you see, like you felt at the gas station, and just leaning into that.
Yeah, because it is so easy these days, especially with phones and whatever. I mean, TV screens in the gas station or whatever. I mean, it's so easy to just stare off, be like, yeah, let me make my exchange. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to a place the other night for burgers with Amanda. It's new in Irving. And I could count where I was sitting more than 72 TVs. It's called
Jeez.
something garage or TV garage or TV. I don't know what it was called. TV, burger, TV.
Over Office 635.
See, he knows what I'm talking about.
I've not been, but I know that's like that's their whole thing.
Yeah, only go in
Sheesh.
there if you want to hate TV. I don't even know if the food was good because I was eating TVs. Chris, we finish every show. Well, first of all, let's put out the website there. People want to get some Shepherd stuff going. Where do they go to this website?
Yeah, so you can go to wearshepherds.com.
Yeah.
That's WearShepherds. So the typical, like the shepherd spelling of shepherd. So wearshepherds.com.
Wearshepherds.com. And people can find out where you're traveling to. By the time they hear this, you'll be long gone from Dallas, but we've done some cool fittings here over a few days. You're going to be at the YCP conference
That's
for Young
right.
Catholic
That's right.
professionals. Shout out to
Probably
them.
be back in St. Louis.
You know what's funny about this? Nothing. Because I actually have no freaking idea where he's from. I know
I'm
it's not
confused
Memphis.
at this
He's
point.
from Wichita Falls.
God's motherland. I don't know what that means.
Well, you just go for it.
You just start talking.
Just amazing moms in Wichita Falls.
And I hope I find the sentence along the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Call it an
Michael
improv
Scott.
conversation.
Well, that actually explains how we got to what
improvisation.
we're about to do.
Yes.
I asked Chris at the commercial break, we finished the show differently. Can you sing? And he said no. And I said, do you want to arm wrestle? And he said, not really. And Nick said, I'll arm wrestle you. I said, okay. Chris and Paul can sing. I'll arm wrestle Nick. Have you picked out a song yet? Because you've got to be
What song do
sweating
we
over
both
there.
know?
Just what song do you know? Because Paul can do anything.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's
a
I'll back that up.
That is a ringing endorsement. Thank you. I was not expecting that.
A Spanish sonata. We can start there.
Okay, maybe not anything.
This is going to be the worst. This is the longest arm wrestling table of all time. Well, you're going to move your water because I'm going to
thank
slam it down when I beat him.
Go to youtube.com and search
Whatever.
I
at
hate
the
trash.
underscore BeatiDudes to watch this.
Search at the underscore or just go to at the underscore.
What
You got
type in on YouTube at the underscore BeatiDudes.
What song is it going to be? Oh, I got to
Okay.
unbuck. This is
What-
not a
what's your call?
shepherd shirt. It doesn't fit me very well.
You a cake fan? Reluctantly crouched at
At
the
the starting
starting line.
deck.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
How about 500 miles? I know that one.
I
I would walk
500 miles and
say,
I
go.
would walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door.
He wins. Nick won.
That
was a pretty good song
was a
selection.
thing that happened.
That just
Oh
happened.
man.
If you're still with us,
Give me that hat, Jeff. I play for keeps.
if you're still with us, please share, like, and
Not the
subscribe.
shirt, the hat. The hat.
Because if you have stayed around this long, you're somebody we want to continue watching us. So
found the
please,
show.
please subscribe. Thank you so much.
We just might be for you.
Yes. We will see you on wearshepherds.com. And for the rest of you, we will
See you in the Eucharist.
God bless. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to join us at our undersized table, subscribe to the video version of the show on YouTube by typing @ that's the symbol @ so shift and 2 on your keyboard, @ the _ BeatiDudes on YouTube. We'll see you there.